Hello there. I'd like to welcome you to the Chapter 12 study guide, also known as the Chapter 12 review. So Chapter 12 is deserts. So I wish I were there with these cute little dogs. So here we go. There are 13 questions in this review. So in this nice cartoonish picture, we have a part of the beach, which is a steeper part of the beach. So can you name this part of the beach? Okay, this is a berm. That is a berm. Question number 2. What I'm going to do is write down all sorts of words that may or may not be related to deserts. And your job is to pick out all the words that are related to deserts or have some type of tie to deserts. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully you'll pick out the same words that I do. So deserts are typically dry. The word arid means a desert climate. Semi-arid is similar to deserts, but we'll get to that here in a minute. And of course, if you're living in a desert, you're living in an area with prolonged drought. And finally, wind is certainly prevalent in the desert. So question number 3, here is a picture for your consideration. Is this picture likely taken of a desert or inside of a desert? And the answer is yes, it's likely taken in a desert, because it looks like these rocks have been wind abraded. Okay, in fact, I wrote that on the slide, work of wind. Okay, but it certainly could be the work of water too. So question number 4, we have some familiar pictures from a previous chapter. Which one of the two pictures are you likely to find in a desert? Are you going to find the top picture or the bottom picture? And what are the pictures showing you? Well, the top picture is a gaining stream, and the bottom one is a losing stream. So you're likely to have a lot of losing streams in the desert because it's simply very dry. In fact, it can be so dry that the stream loses all of its water. So what is a dry stream bed then called? Well, it's called a W. It starts with a W. It's a wash, or an A, arroyo. So now I bring you to a map of the world in question number 5. And now what you need to do is indicate where are the degrees of latitude for most of the world's deserts. Along which 2 degrees of latitude do they lie? Okay, along this one here, and along this one here, which is 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south latitude. Now right here where I've indicated with this Doceri slide, we have some mountains. And next to the mountains we have the mighty Gobi Desert. So the Gobi isn't necessarily lying at 30 degrees north. It's a bit north of that. So this desert exists because it is a rain shadow desert, also called the orographic effect. So here is a kind of follow-up to that question. Does this picture show the rain shadow effect? And the answer is yes, it does. So how does the rain shadow effect work? Well, warm, moist air comes over the ocean and it picks up a lot of that water in the air, and it rains on the leeward side, or the windward side of the mountain range. And that dry air will go over the mountain range, and on the leeward side the air will descend and it'll warm up and it'll be really dry. So you will have a rain shadow desert. So now we're going to return to familiar territory with 30 degrees north and south latitude. And now the question is, where else besides those 2 latitudes and the orographic effect deserts, where else can you find deserts in the world? Well, what about here? Or here? Or here? So the first circle was Greenland, the second is Alaska, and the third is Antarctica. And they are deserts as well, but they are Arctic deserts. So you don't want to forget Arctic deserts when you think about deserts. So now we return to the Gobi, which is approximately in this position. Now the Gobi is called a semi-arid climate, or also known by an S word. Okay, this is steppe. And when I visited the Gobi, it wasn't what I was expecting at all. There was a lot of low grasses, as you probably will see a picture of in lecture. Okay, question number 7. In this one, I'm introducing a brand new term to you, which is called ephemeral. Now, ephemeral means that a stream will flow when there is water available. Okay, so that's what ephemeral means. Now you learned this in a different way because you learned a fancy I word that means the exact same thing as ephemeral. Can you think of that I word? Okay, a stream is intermittent if it only flows when there is water available, i.e. such as a flash flood. So here we are, question number 8. And boy, is it raining. Rain, 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 rain. Raining for days in the desert. Raining for days. So what could the arrow indicate? What are all the things that can happen if it rains a lot in the desert? Well, one thing is that you're going to get quite a bit of runoff because it takes a while for that water to soak into the ground. And you're certainly going to have some two F words that are back to back with one another, which indicates a lot of water moving around in a short amount of time. And those, of course, are flash floods. And then the final thing you're going to get is large-scale erosion because there's not a lot of vegetation in the desert. So number 9 is a familiar picture. So now we're going to name the agents of weathering. So agents of weathering. So here we go. Wind is one of the agents of weathering. Can you think of another one? Water is one. Ice. And the final one is gravity. So when all these agents of weathering are considered, which one is the strongest agent of weathering? Wind, water, ice, or gravity? Okay, this definitely is water. Now, of the 4, not to exclude water, which one is the most persistent in a desert in this environment? And the answer is wind. So wind is going to be blowing more often than not in the desert. So question number 10 out of 13 kind of starts off in a very weird way. Things that are bouncing around. So what is this process called of things that are bouncing around or even leapfrogging? So leapfrogging certainly happens in the desert when sand is frolicking and having a good time. So this is an S word, which is saltation. Question number 11 is a new picture. So your job is to name this product of weathering in the desert when you have rocks that are piled on the surface. So this, of course, is called desert pavement. So some follow-up questions with desert pavement. Can there be abrasion on the rocks here? Is abrasion happening in this environment? Well, yes, because the sand is not only hitting the big rocks, but the sand is also hitting other sand. Is deflation happening here with desert pavement? And the answer is yes, because if the wind blows hard enough, it can move little particles away from an area and could potentially produce what's called a blowout. Is there saltation occurring here? Is there leapfrogging of sand grains? And of course the answer is yes. So here we are with slide 7 plus 5. So a picture for your consideration. So letter A, do these sand dunes have horns? Yes, because it's labeled in the picture. Is there a slip face? Yes. But the ultimate question is, am I showing a barcan or a parabolic sand dune? And these are barcans because the slip face is on the inside of the horns. If the slip face were on the outside of the horns, it would be called a parabolic. So the follow-up to 7 plus 5 is 7 plus 5 squared. Here is another picture. Same type of questions. Do these sand dunes have horns? Is there a slip face? Okay, your job is to name this type of sand dune. Okay, this starts with a T. Okay, these are transverse. Okay, final question. Loess is what? Is it made of silt? Is loess made of clay? Or is loess made of sand? And the answer is loess is made out of windblown silt. So this now concludes the Chapter 12 study guide.